The world of Pokemon, a world of wonder and delight. A world brought to life by a group of people sitting in an office in Japan who manage to every week release a brand new episode which follows the adventures of everyone's favorite black-haired twerp, Ash Ketchum. We watch him and his current gang of colorful and entertaining friends wander around multiple regions, catching and battling magical creatures that get stored in colorful balls. What's going on, guys? My name is Sam, Stardust Nobody, the myth, the man, and the legend. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. With the somewhat recent release of Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, along with the announcement of the 8th generation of Pokemon, Pokemon Sword and Shield, along with other countless awesome things. The announcement and soon release of Pokemon Detective Pikachu, the soon, very soon actually, release of the 3D CGI remastering of the first Pokemon movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, along with the advancements in the Pokemon trading card game, and much more, I have gotten back into the swing of Pokemon. As I started getting back into Pokemon around November, my friends and I decided to check out the Pokemon anime marathon they were having over on Twitch, and managed to catch quite a few episodes of the original series, along with a lot of the Pokemon movies. This inspired me to make a Pokemon movie related video, I know, back in November. It's been a while. But depresso espresso and just a simple lack of motivation doesn't help get videos out. Also helps, well, to inspire me to make this video, it also helped that the latest Pokemon movie, The Power of Us, was soon to be released. So making a Pokemon movie video at the time seemed somewhat fitting, and now I just wanted to get the video out because I worked somewhat on it. And if you're a YouTuber, you know that some projects get pushed into the future. But yes, in today's video, I will be reviewing every single Pokemon movie in under 2 minutes or less. That is 2 minutes or less each, not for the entire thing. As there are 22 currently released Pokemon movies, I thought it would be only fair to split this video into two parts, as making you sit here for 40 minutes straight seemed too cruel. Part 2 will be out when it's out. I can make no promises, but I'm going to do everything in my power to get it out as soon as possible. Before we begin though, I just want to lay down some ground rules for this video. As we all would agree, the Pokemon movies are not exactly the greatest pieces of art, and thus I feel it necessary to make it clear that I will be judging and rating the movies on this list compared to how much they either fail or exceed compared to other Pokemon movies. For example, if I give a movie here a 10, that doesn't necessarily mean I view it on the same level as other anime, shows, or movies I'd rate a 10. Just compared to the other Pokemon films, it's that much better than them, that it deserves that rating compared to them. Also want to make it clear that I will be judging and rating each movie based on their English dub release, as I have seen every Pokemon movie released so far at least once in English, while only a handful in their original Japanese format. Now, without any further ado, may God have mercy on my throat and my soul as we dive into the video. It is time to review every Pokemon movie in under 2 minutes or less. Pokemon, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. Chances are high that if you're a Pokemon fan, at one point in your life you have seen this movie. Mewtwo Strikes Back, as the title would imply, is the story of Mewtwo, the clone of Mew. Mewtwo is easily the greatest strength of this movie, being a strong-willed, malicious, and entertaining villain. Watching Mewtwo slowly grasp concepts that humans would easily understand, and standing and fighting against said concepts, is honestly to me both captivating and inspiring. While his Japanese incarnation is vastly superior to his dub incarnation, as his ideals and mindset were drastically changed in the English release, turning him from a being who questioned concepts such as parents, God, and life, and wanted to prove that he too deserved to exist in a world filled by naturally born life forms, to more of a generic supervillain who wanted to destroy all humans and rule over those who wished to control him. It doesn't change the fact, though, that his English incarnation is still entertaining. Not as impactful, but still a blast to watch, and I think we can all agree seeing Mewtwo completely destroy everything that comes across his path is one of the coolest things ever. Outside of Mewtwo, though, is where the biggest flaw in this movie comes into account. The characters who should also be entertaining and advance the story, such as Ash, Misty, and Brock, don't genuinely add anything to the movie. Instead of adding a message to the story, or at the very least advancing the plot in any way, shape, or form, They either just sit around or spout one-liners that can be funny at times, but mostly are just not needed. If I were to judge this movie based on the original release and everything the Japanese version included, such as the radio dramas, it would easily be earning the spot of the greatest Pokemon movie. Though as I am reviewing the English dub, Mewtwo Strikes Back gets an 8 out of 10. Little side note here, if you have the time, I urge you to watch the Japanese version, along with everything that comes with it. You will not regret it. I promise you that. Pokemon the Movie 2000, The Power of One. Disturb not the harmony of fire, ice, or lightning, lest these three titans wreak destruction upon the world in which they clash. Though the water's great guardian shall arise to quell the fighting, alone its song will fail, thus the earth shall turn to ash. That quote there is probably the best way to summarize this movie. The Power of One does what the first movie chose not to do, and instead of focusing on the post-legendary Pokemon, focuses on setting an interesting scene and developing the human characters. Ash and his gang, along with Team Rocket, are honestly hilarious and likable in this movie, but not to the point where it disturbs scenes. There's no reason for a witty one-liner to take place. While the human characters are a massive upgrade from the first movie, the Pokemon definitely suffer here. The three legendary birds are my least favorite legendaries in a movie so far and after. It really felt like they were shoehorned in there last minute just to make a somewhat believable entrance for Lugia. They have no personality whatsoever, no motives, and are literally fighting for the simple point of giving Lugia an excuse to show up. Then we move on to Lugia, who I loved. He was handled well, being both serene and monstrous, but honestly just doesn't show up enough. Lugia doesn't show up till over halfway through the film, and even then only appears to get Ash to an island and back. Lugia could have, and should, have had a much more emphasized appearance in this movie, as Lugia was literally created for this movie. While this movie does a lot of right things in terms of the human characters, the Pokemon definitely suffer here, which is why I can't give this movie any more than a 7 out of 10. Pokemon 3 the movie, Spell of the Unknown Entei. For a movie that originally was going to be about a Tyrannosaurus Rex skeleton versus the world, this movie definitely could have been more, but definitely didn't disappoint. Covering the story of Molly and the loss of her parents, Spell of the Unknown really excels in character humanization, being able to very well project the feelings of the main cast along with the characters created for the film. Molly and Entei are both some of the best forms of character development a Pokemon movie has ever showcased. Molly was superbly written for Pokemon movie standards, beautifully showing the perfectly natural feelings such a young child would have given her circumstances, while Entei shows extremely well-written fatherly emotion and the drive any parent has to protect their child. For once as well, characters from Ash's life, other than Ash himself, play a major role in the movie. In this case, Ash's mother, Delia, actually gets well-deserved screen time and becomes a loving motherly figure for the young girl Molly, who had just lost both of her parents. This movie's biggest pro is really how well it showcases human emotion, being able to display feelings, emotions, and actions which would be perfectly natural for anyone who lost someone they cared for dearly to have. The animation, the character development, and the overall story of the movie are some of the best Pokemon has ever showcased. For all these reasons, Spell of the Unknown Entei gets a 9 out of 10. Pokemon Forever, Celebi the Voice of the Forest. Honestly, going to be frank here, this is the first movie on this list I genuinely dislike. The Voice of the Forest is a movie where I can look back on it and respect what it did, but not enjoy watching it. The Voice of the Forest isn't necessarily a bad movie, but doesn't really excel at any point like the other movies so far have. The Pokemon are fine, the characters are fine, but nothing about this film other than its ending really do much for me. I will put emphasis that I think the ending and twist of this movie are extremely well done, but the journey to get to that end was more than anything just boring. Sam, Celebi, and the other new characters in this movie weren't massively interesting. And while Ash and Sam's relationship was nice to watch, it really didn't achieve much in the long run. Ash and the gang go back to being just Ash and the gang, not excelling anywhere, and more than anything just battle when the time calls for it. A movie that I neither love or hate. The Voice of the Forest gets a 5 out of 10. Pokemon Heroes Latios and Latias. Pokemon Heroes is another Pokemon movie I don't necessarily hate or necessarily love, but definitely can look back on and respect how it ended. Heroes, like Voice of the Forest, is a movie that has a far better ending than the rest of the movie. Unlike the previous movie though, Heroes did a really good job on the Pokemon, being able to write both Latias and Latios, as well as their sibling love quite well. Latias and Latios showed a really nice amount of character development, and Latios' sacrifice at the end of the film is more than enough proof of this. Other than Latias and Latios though, not much can really be given credit. The villains are one-dimensional and boring as expected. Ash and the gang don't achieve much other than that one final scene, if you know what I mean, and the new characters don't do anything but explain stuff about Latias and Latios to Ash. Definitely not a bad movie, and I like it more than the previous one, but Pokemon Heroes gets a 6 out of 10. When you wish upon a star, I hope to God that you aren't given a Jirachi. Jirachi Wishmaker is the first movie of Generation 3, and while it's not the worst film from this saga, it certainly is not the best. The star of the movie, Jirachi, is extremely annoying. Ash and his crew don't achieve anything beside Max, and even then he doesn't achieve much. The villains, while having a cool backstory, are as always generic, boring, and don't add anything to the overarching plot. In total, this movie is another one that isn't really good nor terrible in my eyes. Jirachi Wishmaker gets a 4 out of 10. Pokemon Destiny Deoxys. Another Gen 3 movie, and yet another mediocre one. This movie, unlike Wishmaker, suffers more so from being boring than annoying. Deoxys and Rayquaza, while not being terrible Pokemon, or even aggravating Pokemon, are what you'd expect from non-telepathic legendaries. Pretty emotionless, and simply want to fight for the sake of fighting. While the fight scenes were really cool in this movie, not much else is really notable. Ash and the gang, along with the new characters, aren't at all memorable, impactful, or even terribly interesting. Another case of another movie that isn't either good or terrible. Not much else to say. Destiny Deoxys also gets a 4 out of 10. Pokemon Lucario and the Mystery of Mew. We finally are here. One of the stars of the Pokemon movie world. Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, in terms of Pokemon movie standards, is nothing short of a masterpiece. Gorgeous animation, lovable and relatable characters, true emotion, and respectable morals. This movie in every way possible is amazing. The plot, the characters, literally everything about this movie is amazing. Definitely one of the greatest Pokemon movies of all time, and honestly even an anime movie I can say rivals some of the true greats in the industry. This movie started production before its predecessor for a reason, and it definitely shows. Lucario and Sir Aaron are beautifully showcased, having a believable and tragic relationship. Ash and Pikachu's relationship grows even stronger with the hardships they have to face in this movie, and all the other characters from old to new are enjoyable and entertaining. Lucario and the Mystery of Mew earns an extremely solid 9 out of 10. Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea. On the other hand of the previous movie, we have the last movie for this part, Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea. This movie is straight and utter garbage. I hate practically everything about this movie, aside from maybe the animation. The absolute most boring Pokemon movie ever released, with an unlikable and annoying star Pokemon, an obvious cash grab in the form of the Pokemon Rangers, and so much more I just cannot stand. If you like this movie, then all the power to you, but I just can't, and probably never ever will. Pokemon Ranger and the Temple of the Sea gets a 1 out of 10. And that is it of the first part. If you actually sticked around and somewhat enjoyed the video, then thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know I've taken a very long time and I've promised lots of things, but things have been hard. Not going to get into details, but if you know me, then you know that life hasn't been the best. But I want to get back on track in terms of life, in terms of content, in terms of all these things. So, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to click the like, comment down below, subscribe, share with your friends, and do all the cool jazz you can in the world. Any bit of support, be it tiny or even large, means the absolute world to me. But, before I take up any more of your time, and hopefully, part 2 will be up when you're watching this, I don't even know. If it is, it is. If it isn't, it isn't. But, if you did enjoy this, thank you once again. And as always, guys, Stardust Nobody, the myth, the man, the legend, signing out. Stand proud, and stay awesome and safe, as always.